After family dinner, I found my safe empty, Mom smirked. We took it for your sister's tuition. And Dad said, don't make this ugly. I just nodded. 2 days later, my brother screamed, Mom cried, and Dad begged me not to go through with it. When I opened the safe that night, every dollar we'd ever saved was gone. $64,000. Gone. I just stood there in silence, kneeling on the carpet, the air so still it almost felt fake. The carpet imprint from the safe door still warm under my fingers. I didn't hear them walk in, my mom and Dad. But I felt it. Mom leaned against the doorframe with that soft smile she always wore when she was about to say something terrible in a sweet voice. We took it for Ryan's tuition, she said. My dad followed, arms crossed, face blank. Don't make this ugly, Emily. I stared at them like they were strangers, because in that moment they were. That money wasn't just paper. It was my future, mine and Ethan's. Every raise we saved instead of spending, every vacation we skipped, every side gig Ethan took on weekends, all of it lived in that safe. A stupid fireproof metal box hidden under our bedroom carpet. I had told them about it once, years ago, before I learned that being honest with my parents was just giving them ammunition. I couldn't even speak. Mom sighed like I was the problem. Ryan didn't get enough financial aid, honey. You know how hard college is. Families help each other. My dad added, you and Ethan don't even have kids. You'll be fine. They really said that. Like my life was an endless backup fund for their favorite son. I asked when they planned to pay it back. Dad didn't hesitate. We're not. This is what family does. My voice cracked, but it came out anyway. You stole from me. Mom's tone changed in an instant, sharp, defensive. Don't you dare use that word. I can't handle another panic episode tonight. Don't start. They walked out, just like that. And I stood there on the floor, staring into an empty safe, realizing for the first time that my parents didn't see me as their daughter anymore. Just as an ATM, they didn't have to thank. 2 days later, my brother was screaming, my mom was crying, and my dad was begging me not to do it. But by then, it was already too late. Because they had no idea what I had set in motion the moment that safe was empty. Before everything fell apart, I used to think my family was just tense. Not toxic, not cruel, just the usual unspoken bitterness. But now, looking back, every moment feels like a red flag I ignored because I didn't want to believe my parents could be that kind of people. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. My brother Ryan was the golden boy from the start. My mom, Claire, practically worshipped him. Every conversation somehow turned into, Ryan's so gifted, Ryan's working so hard, Ryan's going places. And me, I was the responsible one, which really meant the invisible one who keeps everything from collapsing. When Dad, Leonard, lost his job my senior year of high school, I got a part-time job at a diner to help out. When Mom forgot to pay the power bill, I covered it. When Ryan crashed his first car, I was the one who signed for the new one because my credit was better. They always framed it as family helping family, and I fell for it every single time. I thought once I got married and moved out, the distance would fix things. Ethan and I were both practical people, not flashy, not wasteful. We bought a small house in Broken Arrow and made it our goal to build something real. We saved everything. No trips, no luxury, just security. It took years to build that $64,000. It was supposed to be our down payment for a rental property, something steady, something that could grow. Every time I looked at that safe, I saw proof that Ethan and I had done it on our own. No help from anyone, especially not my parents. And yet, they always found ways to remind me I still owed them. Whenever we'd visit, Mom would say things like, "Must be nice to have all that extra money when your brother's drowning in student loans." Or, "I wish I had that kind of stability when I was your age." It was never a compliment. It was a warning. When she asked if we'd host Ryan's farewell dinner before he left for college, Ethan hesitated. But I said yes anyway. I thought maybe we could have one normal night. Just family, some peace, a start fresh. But even that night, something felt off. The laughter was too loud. The compliments too forced. My mom couldn't stop glancing upstairs, and my dad kept patting my shoulder every time I left the table. Ryan barely looked at me, which wasn't new. He had that smug smile that said, "Mom and Dad will always choose me." And after everyone left, when I found that closet door cracked open, I swear I already knew. Some part of me knew they'd done it before I even lifted the carpet. I just didn't know yet how far they'd go or what else they were hiding. The morning after the dinner, I barely slept. I just sat at the kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee, staring at the wall, waiting for Ethan to wake up. When he came downstairs and saw my face, he froze. He asked. What happened? I told him everything. About the safe, about my parents walking in like it was some kind of routine. He thought I was joking. When he realized I wasn't, his whole expression changed: anger, disbelief, and something deeper. Betrayal, maybe. He grabbed his keys, ready to drive straight to their house. I stopped him. Not yet, I said. I want to see what they do when we give them a chance to do the right thing. So that afternoon, we drove over. I didn't tell them we were coming. When Mom opened the door, she looked startled for half a second, then forced that same polite smile she uses when company shows up. Emily, you should have called first, she said, like we were there to drop off dessert or borrow a dish. Dad came into the room, still in his house slippers, holding a mug that said "World's Best Father." I wanted to throw it at him. Ethan spoke first, calm but cold. We're here for the money, my mom blinked. Excuse me. The money, he said again, slow this time. The $64,000 you stole from our safe. Dad let out a short laugh like he was amused. Stole, you make it sound criminal. We're family, families share. Not like that, Ethan said. Not without permission. My mom's voice sharpened. Lower your tone, Ethan. You don't speak to us that way in our home. Our home, I snapped. You broke into my home. She rolled her eyes. Oh, please, you act like you'll even notice it's gone. You and Ethan are doing fine. Ryan needs this more than you ever will. That sentence right there, that was the shift. The moment I realized they'd already rationalized it, already built the story in their heads where they were the good guys. Ethan tried to keep his voice steady. We're giving you 24 hours to fix this. Transfer the money back and we'll pretend this never happened. My dad looked me dead in the eyes and said, You wouldn't dare do anything else. He was wrong. Because while he was saying that, I already had my phone in my pocket, recording every word. And I'd already called someone that morning. Someone who knew exactly how to make people like my parents regret underestimating me. I didn't sleep that night either. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through every sacrifice Ethan and I had made. Every cheap grocery run, every skipped vacation, every time we said later to something we wanted so we could build a future. By sunrise, I'd already made the call that would change everything. Her name was Natalie Cross, my old college roommate. We hadn't talked much in recent years, but I'd kept up with her career. She was a corporate attorney now, sharp as a scalpel and mean when she needed to be. When I told her what happened, she didn't even pause. Do you have proof it was your money? She asked. I had plenty. Screenshots of our savings spreadsheets, photos of the stacks when we counted them last year. Even old texts with my mom, where I stupidly bragged about how proud I was that Ethan and I had managed to save so much. In one, she asked where we kept it. I'd told her just casually, like an idiot. Natalie said, Then it's simple. We go legal. By noon, she drafted a demand letter, direct, brutal, and surgical. It stated that Claire and Leonard Rhodes had illegally entered my home and stolen $64,000 in cash. They had 48 hours to return every cent or face both civil and criminal charges. She didn't even have to mail it. She sent it via email and certified delivery. That evening, I sat on the couch with Ethan, phone on the table between us, both of us waiting for it to ring. It didn't. Not once. No apology, no denial. Nothing. The next day, around 6 p.m., it finally did, but not from them. It was from the university's financial department. The woman on the line sounded nervous. She asked to confirm who had paid for Ryan's upcoming semester because the funds were flagged in a legal notice. Natalie had already moved. She'd notified the school that the tuition payment might involve misappropriated funds. The moment the word misappropriated appeared in their inbox, the university froze Ryan's tuition, his dorm assignment, and even his enrollment. An hour later, my phone exploded. Dozens of missed calls. My mom, my dad, Ryan. Texts ranging from guilt-tripping to outright threats. You've gone too far. Do you really want to ruin your brother's future? You're heartless. I ignored every one of them. Then Natalie forwarded me my father's reply to her letter, a sloppy, misspelled wall of text calling the whole thing a family misunderstanding. He said we were blowing it out of proportion and offered to pay us back slowly, over time. Natalie's response was 5 words. Full repayment within 24 hours. The next night, I heard a car screech to a stop outside our house. When I looked out, Ryan was storming up the driveway. He didn't even knock, he just started yelling. "You're ruining my life, do you even care?" Behind him, my mom was sobbing dramatically in the car, and my dad just stood there, pale and silent. And for the first time in my life, I saw the panic in his eyes. The realization that I wasn't bluffing. He whispered, "Emily, please, don't do this." I looked at him and said, "You did this." And then I closed the door. By the next morning, the Rhodes family had gone radio silent. No texts, no calls, not even a pathetic "let's talk about this." That silence told me everything. They were waiting me out, betting I'd cool off, feel guilty, and let it go. But that version of me died the moment I found that empty safe. Natalie didn't wait either. "They think this is a family argument," she said over the phone. "We'll show them it's a legal nightmare." That morning, she filed for an emergency injunction, basically asking the court to freeze the stolen funds and suspend Ryan's university enrollment until ownership was confirmed. The university's legal department received the notice the same day. That's when things really started to unravel. By 2 p.m., I got a call from the university's financial services office. The woman's tone was careful, professional, but you could hear the dread under it. She told me Ryan's enrollment had been temporarily suspended pending investigation. His dorm keycard was deactivated. His schedule wiped. I thanked her, hung up, and just sat there laughing once. Not because it was funny, but because for the first time in my life they couldn't ignore me. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. A text from my mom, "You've made your point. Now stop." Then another from Dad, "Do you hate your family this much?" And from Ryan, "WTF did you do? I can't log into my school portal." I said nothing. At 4:15 p.m., my phone lit up again, this time with a blurry photo. My mom and Dad, sitting in a waiting room with the university seal behind them. My mom clutching tissues, Dad slumped in his chair. The message read, "We're fixing it, please, no more." By that night, Natalie called to confirm it. The university's legal team had verified everything. My parents had admitted the funds weren't theirs. They begged the school to refund the tuition payment. 48 hours later, our money was returned in full. But when it hit our account, I didn't feel relief. I felt disgust. Because even though they gave it back, there was no apology, no accountability, just humiliation. And Ethan wasn't satisfied either. Over dinner that night, he looked up from his plate and asked quietly, "Do you want to press charges?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to, he already knew. Returning the money wasn't justice, it was damage control. They hadn't just stolen our savings. They'd stolen years of sacrifice, of trust, and something in me refused to let them walk away from that. Then 3 days later, Natalie called again. "Emily," she said, "we found something else." And the way she said it, calm, cold, deliberate, I knew whatever it wasn't small. When Natalie said she found something, I didn't expect her to show up at my door that same night, coat still damp from the rain, manila folder in hand, face pale but composed. She didn't even sit down. She spread the papers across our dining table, printouts, transaction logs, screenshots. "There's a $10,000 transfer from your parents' account," she said, "to a man named Alan Mercer." I frowned. "Who's that?" Natalie exhaled, tapping her pen against the name. "He's not a friend. He's not a loan officer. He's currently under federal investigation for education fraud." I felt my stomach turn. Apparently, Alan ran a consulting firm that helped desperate parents manipulate the college system, forged income documents, fake hardship claims, fraudulent aid applications. 2 universities and the IRS were already watching him, and my parents had paid him. "So they didn't just steal from us," Ethan said slowly. "They tried to scam the government with it." Natalie nodded. "They used your money to fund a fraudulent tuition scheme. This isn't just theft anymore, it's fraud and conspiracy." I stared down at the papers, the wire receipts, the email confirmations, and realized my parents hadn't just stolen from me. They dragged my name, my husband's, and even Ryan's into a federal mess. I texted Ryan one line, "Do you know who Alan Mercer is?" He replied immediately, "Lose my number." That told me everything. My hands were shaking when I called my mom. She didn't answer. My dad did. His tone was low, like a warning. "If you go through with this," he said, "you'll lose your family forever." I said, "You already did," and I hung up. By Monday morning, Natalie had filed the official criminal complaint: theft, fraud, and involvement with an individual under federal investigation. It wasn't just a threat anymore. It was real. And that's when they came back. Wednesday morning, I looked out my window and saw them standing on the front porch like ghosts. My mom clutching a folder, my dad pale and silent. When I opened the door, she whispered, "We need to talk." We let them in. They didn't sit on the couch like guests. They sat like defendants. My mom slid the folder across the table, a breakdown of everything they owned. Their house, their retirement, their savings. She said they'd sell it all if I dropped the charges. "We made a mistake," she said through tears. "We just wanted Ryan to have a chance. We thought you wouldn't miss it." I didn't say a word. I just nodded. They left thinking maybe I'd softened. They had no idea they were about to lose something far worse than money. Because the next knock at my door, the one I got the following morning, wasn't from my parents. It was from Ryan. And what he told me would blow the entire story apart. When I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize him. Ryan looked hollow. No cocky smirk, no college hoodie. Just red eyes, pale face, and a backpack slung over one shoulder. He didn't ask to come in, just said quietly, "I need to tell you something about Dad." Ethan stood behind me, arms crossed, still furious but curious. I stepped aside and let Ryan in. He didn't sit. He stood near the couch, fidgeting with his backpack strap. "I didn't know," he started. "About the safe, about the money, not until yesterday." I didn't say anything, just waited. He told us that after the school froze his enrollment, he tried calling our parents nonstop, but they'd gone completely dark. No answers, no texts. He went to their house, no car in the driveway, curtains drawn. Out of desperation, he logged into our dad's old email account from the family computer in his room. What he found made my blood run cold. There were months of emails between my dad and Alan Mercer, not days, not weeks. The plan had started in February, long before Ryan's tuition payment was due. And the money from our safe wasn't even supposed to go just to the school. It was part of a bigger plan. Ryan said Dad had been bleeding their own retirement account for over a year, gambling, risky day trades, bad investments. He'd lost nearly everything. My mom didn't know, so he came up with a fix. He'd use our cash to rebuild the family finances. But when that fell apart, he got desperate. Alan Mercer offered him a way to fake hardship documents, secure extra aid, and move money quietly through educational channels. It wasn't about Ryan's education. That was just a cover. It was about hiding his financial disaster and maybe even getting enough money from fake grants and refunds to cover his losses. I felt sick. Ryan's voice cracked as he said, "He robbed me too. Grandpa left us both a small inheritance. I found the emails where Dad transferred my half into one of Mercer's shell accounts. It's gone." Ethan spoke first. "So he used you, your mom, and us, all to cover his own gambling." Ryan nodded, eyes glassy. "Yeah, and Mom still doesn't know how deep it goes. She thinks it was just the safe." Then he reached into his backpack and pulled out a small USB drive. "It's all here," he said. "Emails, bank transfers, PDFs, screenshots. I made copies. I don't want to protect them anymore." I took the drive, staring at it like it was a loaded weapon, because that's exactly what it was. Ryan left without saying goodbye. That night, Natalie came over. She plugged in the drive, opened the files, and just went silent. Finally, she looked up and said, "Emily, this isn't just family theft anymore. This is financial fraud, falsified records, concealed assets, illegal wire transfers. Your father's been moving money through fake institutions." I asked her what that meant. She said softly, "It means he's going to prison." And in that moment, the truth hit harder than any betrayal could. My father hadn't stolen from us out of love or even desperation. He'd done it out of arrogance. Because he thought he could outsmart everyone, including me. He didn't see me as his daughter. He saw me as a solution. The detectives came 2 days later. Two of them, one tall, quiet, the other scribbling notes like every word mattered. They asked for copies of the USB files, the bank statements, and the university correspondence. I handed it all over. By Monday, my parents were served with a court summons, theft, fraud, and conspiracy. It wasn't a warning this time. It was a real case. The next day, they showed up again. No car full of fake tears this time. Just them, pale, smaller somehow, standing on our porch like people waiting for a verdict they already knew was coming. When I opened the door, my mom's voice was cracked and trembling. "Please, Emily," she said, "we never meant for it to go this far." Dad stepped forward, hands shaking. "You're going to destroy us. You're destroying your own family." Ethan leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You destroyed this family the second you broke into our house." Mom tried to reach for my hand. "We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought we could fix it. You have to understand, your father was gambling away your future," I cut in. "And when that wasn't enough, he came for mine." Dad's eyes flickered, a flash of anger breaking through the guilt. "We're still your parents," he said quietly, like that title should erase everything. Ethan asked the question that ended the conversation. "What would you have done if we hadn't noticed?" Dad didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence was the truth. My mom broke then, dropped to her knees right in our living room, sobbing, begging. I helped her up, not out of pity, but because I couldn't stand to see her pretending she was the victim. "You should leave," I said. "There's nothing left to say." And they did, slowly, quietly, like ghosts leaving the house they used to haunt. That night, I sent a group message to the entire extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone who used to praise my parents like saints. Attached were screenshots, bank records, email threads, court filings, every piece of proof. And then I wrote one line: "Since no one asked what happened, here's the truth." By morning, the fallout began. Some people were shocked. Some called me a liar. Some begged me to take it down. But a few, the quiet ones, thanked me. Privately, the rest, they froze my parents out. No invitations, no sympathy. Mom was kicked out of her book club. Dad was dropped from his volunteer board, their perfect image cracked for good. Ryan texted once, "You really burned it all down." And I replied, "It was already burning. I just stopped pretending it wasn't." 6 months later, I still haven't heard from them. No calls, no apologies, just silence. Ethan and I finally used part of the recovered money for what we'd planned all along, a down payment on a small rental property. It's quiet there, peaceful, the kind of peace that only comes after chaos. Sometimes when I open our new safe, a digital one this time, I think about that night in the closet, about my mom's smile, my dad's cold voice saying, "Don't make this ugly." They made it ugly. I just made it final.